Hey everyone, welcome to episode 4 of the Fighters Corners podcast. I'm your host, the Kid 36, David Edwards. Tonight with me, I got Alex, I got Chileanstorm, I got Damon, I also got Onion Knight, and Shakur. Tonight, this is going to be Chileanstorm's episode, so I'll pass it off to him.
Yeah, thank you, kid. So for me, I kind of like delving into some of the more finer points of fighting games, if you will. So I was definitely curious to find out from you guys, what was your first fighting game? Like, for real, like your first fighting game in terms of like, I'm dedicating myself to this game. I'm playing 100 rounds of this game. I'm learning this character. I'm going to the tournaments kind of thing, you know? What was the first fighting game that kind of made you say, yep, I'm all in, you know? And, you know, I'm kind of curious to find out what time was it? Was it in an arcade strictly? Was it on Xbox Live? So, yeah, I'm definitely curious to find out. And, yeah, let's get it started. Who's up first?
I guess I'll go first.
All
so
right.
For me, I like Street Fighter 4. Well, I should say I started with Street Fighter 4 because at the time I was already playing fighting games quite heavily because I started with Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel superheroes, all that stuff because I liked Marvel cartoons, so I liked the characters. And then I was like, oh, you get to play these characters a lot more differently and a lot more like you felt like you were really controlling the character in fighting games, and I like that. And I like the competitive nature as well, like getting to fight somebody else one-on-one, you know, you and them are putting your skills on the line. That's cool. So I was also trying other games like Street Fighter, Tekken, Virtua Fighter, you know, yada, 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 because Hollywood Video was a thing. And then Street Fighter 4 came out, went to my first Hollywood Video tournament, if you guys remember what Hollywood Video is. If not, it's okay. You're a little younger than me. It's fine. Did a tournament, played a match, got the crowd hype. It was cool. I lost, but I liked the feeling. Then the second time I went to a tournament, somebody had changed, or Damon, DD Green, who's in the call, he changed the buttons. I played, didn't tell nobody, lost, told the TO. He said, sorry, you lost, cried about it. It's a tough time, but I got through it. So then I'm playing online, and Damon, do you remember ArtistCon, or do you know him?
Yes, I know him.
So the first time I met him was we were all in the lobby of Street Fighter 4. I was in this party full of other people, and they, at the time, I thought they were good, you know, because I knew nothing else. But then this guy, ArtistCon, came in, he bodied everybody, and they were all crying, complaining, like, oh, he's cheap, oh, he's playing Vega, yada, yada, yada. But I was like, so if he's better than you, why not just ask him how to get better? They was like, no, blah, 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 I don't want to do that. Basically being salty. I'm like, okay, you can do that. I'm going to ask him how to get better. So I asked him, like, hey, so how did you do that? Because if we're playing Smash Bros., if I'm like a level 1, he's like a level 6. And I didn't even know there was level 2. So I'm like, okay, let's figure this out. So I asked him, he gave me like some advice. He was like, wow, you're the only person at that party who asked me how to get better instead of crying about it. So then we formed a mentorship. He would teach me how to play fighting games, starting with Street Fighter 4 because that's where we met. And then I would go along, I would play that, and then I just started looking at fighting games in a different mindset. So that was the start of my process. And then after that, I would play other fighting games. I would try other fighting games. I would start studying. I would start researching, learning, practicing. And he said this earlier, Chileanstorm. He said, what was the first game that you played 100 rounds in? That was not Street Fighter 4, I don't think. The first one I can remember playing like a really long set was Marvel 3.
Ooh.
That was the game that, Damon can tell you this, if Street Fighter 4 was my start, Marvel 3 was my beginning of how to actually become a competitive fighting game player. Like when I was younger, I put everything into Marvel 3. Second, Street Fighter 4. Then after that, I kind of just dropped all the modern fighting games and then went back to the classic ones like Third Strike. I went backwards. Third Strike, Street Fighter 2, Marvel whatever, yada, yada, yada. And then going on from there. So pretty much I started Street Fighter 4, and then that's a whole nother web. But Street Fighter 4, I have to thank that for getting me into the competitive fighting game scene. Because without that, I would not be here. That's the end of my story for now. So who wants to go next?
Guess Damon could go next.
Yeah.
Since Storm.
Yeah. What about
What
about switching those buttons, Damon? What's up with that, man?
So
why you got to do that?
So
Wait,
my original.
Why you gotta do that to the boy?
Yeah.
Well, first,
that shit hurt my heart. I ain't gonna lie.
I'm sorry. First off, I apologize again. I didn't mean for that. But my story goes off like this. See, the first fighting game I've actually ever played was DOA 3, and if stated before, we basically had our entire family different mains in DOA 3. My dad played Zack, my older sister played Ayane Kasumi, I played Janley Hitomi, my youngest sister, she didn't really play, she usually had to watch us play and watch us get mad and laugh at us. My mom played Lei Feng and Helena. My youngest brother was trying to copy my older sister's play, so he tried to play Ayane for a little bit. We all just played games and we just had fun with it. But not only that, we also played in Soul Calibur 2, where I played Tournament first before I started playing Maxi. My dad played Maxi, my sister played Taki, and my brother was trying to learn Tournament from me, but he didn't like Tournament, so he went with Nightmare instead. So afterwards, that's when I was starting to slowly get into fighting, because I started really enjoying playing fighting games. I started learning how to play games quickly and started adapting myself to playing pretty much fighting games. And so basically we fast forward a little bit to my baseball season when I was like 10, 11 years old. And I didn't know this, but I was being very quiet about it. I apparently was a star player of my baseball team. We went 17-3, but it wasn't for this reason that you think. You think we're just like some crazy pitching machine. No, it was literally because our starting 9, we had 12 players. Our starting 9 were able to hit home runs. We were the only team in the entirety of that league that had a full starting 9 roster that was able to hit home runs. And so during the time I was still learning how to play DOA 3, my sister and my dad said, "Hey, let's do a time attack little challenge thing." I went, okay. And so my dad, at the time, he got 3 minutes on the dot. And I was like, okay. And my sister got 2 minutes 57 seconds. She beat it by 3 seconds, by like 3 seconds. I was like, okay. So it was my turn, and I couldn't beat it. I couldn't get past 3 minutes. So I got salty, and I said, I'm going to keep playing this game. I kept playing the game. I kept going to practice. I kept doing my homework. I would just grind the game out. So then as soon as I sat there and I did it right before a game, I beat the time attack mode in 2 minutes and 22 seconds.
Wait, right before the baseball game?
Yes. Like right before the 20 minutes before we had to leave. I beat it in like that X amount of time, and we had to go. And that's when I was able to hit my 3rd home run ever, actually, which was kind of funny. So after that, we then fast forward to Street Fighter 4, because there wasn't any good games besides Soul Calibur at the time, and all I had was my PS2, and I was still playing dance games at the time. So I was playing like DDR, etc. So fast forward to Street Fighter 4, I was like, this game's pretty fun. So I might try this game out. It looks fun. So my nephew played it before I did, and he was actually pretty good at the game. He played Ken, and then I played Ken, obviously enough. So when we both played Ken, he would always beat me, but he would tell me how to do this stuff, and I would learn from him a little bit, just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. So I said, "Hey, it's tournament coming up. How about we go to that together?" He just goes, "Okay." So he comes to my house. We're just playing. It's like 2, 3 in the morning. Next day, noon. No, that wasn't even. It was like 6:00. 6:00 in the evening. We go ahead. We go play, and my first match is against a Zangief. Now, this is before I even played online. I had no idea what the hell Zangief even was. He just SPD'd me to death borderline, and I was getting mad. And I finally got a DP off. I was like, okay, good. And I And the one thing I didn't learn until very, very, very later on was not to jump against Zangief. I didn't know that when I was like 13, 14 at the time. So after I lost, I shook the guy's hand and I literally rose my forearm up and I bent a table and I yelled, I hate going out first round. I hate it. This feeling fucking sucks. And my nephew was like, calm down, dude. We can play Smash Bros. No, F Smash Bros. I want a rematch. And it wasn't going to go out like that. And then when I saw my nephew play, he played against a Zangief player in tournament. And he's doing car throws, fireball game. He did forward medium kick with Ken. I'm just like, how come I didn't learn this stuff? I wish I would have learned this stuff. We both play the same. Wait, no, we don't play the same. And that's when I realized I should get more into fighting games because I want to get better. So fast forward to the tournament where I accidentally swapped the, well, I didn't accidentally, but I swapped the button and I forgot to tell somebody that, hey, I swapped the buttons. So it was a match to get into. I think it was, I was in loser side. Alex was in loser side. And I won my losing match to get in the loser side top 8. And then Alex had to play after me. Alex did. I forgot to tell Alex to check his buttons. I could, that like literally just like the entirety of my mind just went like when that happened. And I saw Alex and he was like, and I saw Alex play before, he was actually pretty good. I was like, okay, he could actually get somewhere with this. Okay. So I saw him do a DP light, which was originally on the X button. He did heavy. I was like, oh wait, oh no, I forgot to tell my button. Oh no. And I saw him lose, and I apologized the first hand on deck. And I was like, I'm so sorry, bro. I'm so sorry, dude. I did not mean that. I did not mean for that. I'm so sorry. I apologized like profusely to him. And I tried talking to the dude. I just talked to the TO. I was like, can you please let me get a rematch? Because that was on my fault. And he told me, well, it's in elimination. No.
Oh, no.
He's good.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
And I was so distraught. So I ended up winning that tournament, by the way, but I couldn't find Alex. I couldn't find Alex, and yeah, pretty much I just kept the money, and I was just like, I feel kind of bad now. I don't feel I deserve that. And
It's
then
okay.
after that,
I would have lost either way.
and then after that, I learned, tell people if you change the buttons, check your buttons. And ever since that one mistake, I've told people, if you're playing behind me, check your buttons and watch me check the buttons. I did that for the last like few years after that. I was like, yeah, keep doing it. And I kept telling people that from now on. And that's how I got into fighting games.
Very cool. Very cool.
Looks like
Thanos.
Yeah, Thanos, you're next with the Infinity Gauntlet.
That's right. So I first started getting fighting games back in the Street Fighter 2 days. My cousin Paul had a copy of Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and he'd wash us, just absolutely destroy us. But it was just one of those things where even though he'd beat us down, I still wanted to play to get better, and eventually got to the point where I ended up being able to beat him, and that's kind of how I first got into fighting games in general. Played fighting games growing up with Dave, Street Fighter 3, the whole gamut, but I didn't start getting into games competitively until right about the end of Street Fighter 4. I was on a work trip in Montreal, and there was a arcade in downtown. Can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but they had a couple of Street Fighter 4 cabinets there. And the thing was that I used to playing Street Fighter on pad, and I did not know how to play on stick. And so I tried playing a little bit of Ryu, because that's who I played in Street Fighter 2. That didn't work out. I tried playing Guile, because I played him in 2 as well. That just wasn't happening. But then I started thinking, I'm like, oh, well, Zangief, he doesn't need to do any any actual DP motions or charge. You just spin, you hit punch, you grab the guy, and that's the end of the story, right? And so when I was over there, I picked up Geef, and this is after having no grappler experience at all. I was just destroying a bunch of people, and I'm like, what's going on? And eventually, this guy came on with a hella good Dyza and just washed everybody. But that's when I first started, like, I'm like, oh, wow, I kind of got back into fighting games, because the thing was that when Street Fighter was first released, it was on the PS3, and I had the PS2, but I didn't get PS3. I kind of skipped that generation. I picked up the PS4, so I played very little Street Fighter 4 when it first came out, and it wasn't until the end where I started playing arcades. I'm like, oh, okay, great. And then I picked it up on PS4, started playing a little bit, and then Street Fighter 5 came out, started playing that, and that's really when I started to take fighting games seriously at that point. So yeah, that was basically it. It was also my transition to grapplers, which I wish I did sooner, to be honest, because they're so much fun. But older grapplers, especially like grapplers in like Street Fighter 2 days, they weren't nearly as good as they are now. Like they're a lot more easier to play now. So yeah, but yeah, that's my story.
Very cool.
Pretty awesome. Okay, I guess Shakur, you're next.
All right. The first fighting game that I got into competitively, as far as tournament goes, is King of Fighters 97. It's a game that's older than me, and it's a game that is full of just straight up fucking busted characters, but extremely fun characters at that. I found King of Fighters by mistake. I started off playing Mortal Kombat and eventually played a series of other fighting games, and I got into King of Fighters. And for a while, I was just playing my favorites, but 97 had this absurd appeal to me from this character called Orochi Leona. Completely fucking busted. Hyper speed, hyper damage, charge character, which I honestly do hate playing charge characters, but she's an exception. And at the time, there was a pizza shop that had the arcade cap for 97. I was roughly 11 when I finally started playing competitive. So one day, I'm just like chilling, wasting my quarters, just having a good time. I'm going through story mode. Some guy comes up. He's like, oh, you want to play? Oh, yeah, sure. Let me put my quarters in. Get my ass beat, right? But at the same time, I knew nothing about how busted characters were. I just saw cool characters and wanted to play them. So he's like, hey, I play Orochi Leona. You should learn her too. She's God tier. And when you hear, hey, as a kid, here's the best character, and she's cool, do you want to play him? No one's going to tell you no. Cabal's cool, Raiden's cool, Sub-Zero. You see the cool character, you play him. And from that point on, I mained Orochi Leona in 97, despite how cheap she was, despite how busted and unfair. And I learned fundamentals and stuff from that guy. Some random guy in a pizza shop I would run into maybe, I'll say, once a week or so for a while. And up until that point in time, I was just learning the game, how to play it competitively. And eventually, I was able to play on offense, but for a long time, I learned how to play lane, and I got really good at that. I put Orochi Leona on point. She did a bunch of damage. You run up to her, I hit you with a Baltic launcher. I get a combo, you die. And just fast forward to skip a bunch of extra explanations. I, despite playing a bunch of other games, fell in love with King of Fighters as a collective whole, and 97 even more, because the rage of playing against someone else and watching them lose, that is very exciting. Nothing is more exciting than knowing that you was able to defend your court. I want to play the game, and I also want to defend my quarter. I feel like that's what the pinnacle of arcades are. Play the game and defend your quarter. Defend what's the worth of your money. So my worth of that money was eventually 5 wins, 7 wins, 9, and it just kept on stacking. And one day the guy comes back, he's like, "Yo, you should play in tournament. Good in the game." Now, at this point in time, I've been playing a Roach Leona up to that point, and she's banned tournament-wise. So now I gotta go play regular Leona. She works basically functionally the same, and that was my first love as far as characters goes. But outside of tournaments, I was always playing a Roach Leona. Some of the people I was playing against in tournaments, they were also to the piece of shop outside of the tournaments and play me as well. But over time, I became pretty abrasive in my arrogance. So a time for me playing a Roach Leona because no one could stop me. You came up to my machine, you came up to my quarter. I'm already playing your Roach Leona. You can't do anything about it. I was also like just straight up cocky, and with the wins to prove it, that I had the skills. But eventually, I started getting threats of being stabbed. It's generally something that you hear from older King of Fighters games is people being physically violent out of salt. But that's what eventually made me stop being as competitive in that game. But no one wants to be stabbed as an 11-year-old. Just putting that out there. Yeah, a 16-year-old or older goes, "Oh yeah, you keep playing that character, I'm gonna stab the shit out of you." Flicks knife. Yeah, no, I'm good. But I started with a very salt-inducing game and a very fun but busted game at that, only because of the love of a raging boss character that runs like a dog.
she was pretty rabid in that game.
Yeah. Funny because I actually recently played against one. We eventually switched to 98. And in 98, they also have, for the Ultimate Match version, a Roach Leona again. It's almost as busted as she was in 97. Mm-hmm. And I now feel bad knowing that I used to play busted characters just because they're absurdly strong and fun at the same time. It's an overwhelming feeling of power when you play that character. And then nothing but shame after you walk off from that cabinet.
And CVS2 put a stop to that quick.
Oh yeah, I'm glad I missed that.
What's that? I got Shinokuma. One punch, you're dead. Like,
yo.
Biggest.
Although the Shinokuma mirror matches in that game are pretty fun.
Yeah.
So, I gotta say.
But yeah, that's the basis of my story. I eventually stuck to KO 2002, and I honestly wasn't much better in that one. I played, so I did the same thing that I did with 97 Leona, play lane and then beat the shit out you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got their characters if you can. That's the moral of the story.
You just gotta do what you can to win, right?
No, realistically speaking, the characters are very fun and interesting. Mm-hmm. If I wasn't playing those characters and I didn't enjoy them at the same time, then I don't think I will play them as top tier, no matter what tier they are. I will they hear fun and just straight up enjoyable to play. Because the only time you should really care about tiers is when you get to that point of skill where, hey, this character mechanically isn't as useful as another character that's mechanically better, and I want to play for money, or I want to play for pride, whatever it is. Besides, I was an 11-year-old kid. I can't win that.
You know, I kind of find that weird how people, not saying you do, but people who go like, oh yeah, you got to play on tier lists, you got to pick top tiers, or you don't pick top tiers. But then they'll cry about top tier characters all day and be like, oh, you're cheap for playing a top tier. It's like, which one do you want? Either
yeah, no, that's
why do you guys make top tier tier lists and shame low tiers? When somebody picks high tier, like, oh, you're picking top tier, you're a scrub, you're a tryhard.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
It is kind of weird. That's the North American mindset of the FGC.
Excuse me.
It's one or the other, right? It's like you got to make your mind up. Like, do you want to face only Fox, or do you want to be beaten by Pichu? You know,
I mean, he's got a point. If you try to play melee competitive, man, that is a beast. No,
play Star Fox.
Last time I went to a Smash tournament with my friends, Damon, you weren't there for this. We played melee. Now listen, my friend played melee. I didn't play melee in years. I know I didn't play melee. I was like, all right, I'll play with you. I'll go with you. Why not? So I'm playing somebody, right? And, I'm getting bodied. I'm not even mad. Like, I don't play. This game is hard. Fine. And then, like, we're done, right? He doesn't look at me. He plugs his controller. I got stomped. Like, if we're playing for glory and I was playing for fun, that's how bad I got bopped. So I was like, all right, cool. So then he gets up, doesn't talk to me, doesn't look at me, doesn't give me a handshake, and just walks off.
Damn.
I'm like,
Jeez.
wow.
Okay.
That's cool, I guess.
Edgy
All
much?
that,
Shit.
all that to say, I'm like, yep, you were trying hard, and that's okay. But that top tier shit, because it's like you were saying, I like playing the characters I like, and I do pay attention to top tiers and mechanics and things like that. But at the end of the day, if I like a character, if they're bad, well, if they're really bad, it's gonna be hard for me to want to play them over another character I like that's good. Like if Marvel Infinite, I liked X, but I like Zero too, and X was worse than Zero, so I'm gonna play Zero more. And I'm trying to make X work, but it's like I could just pick Spider-Man, who I also like, and Dante, who I really like. It's like, yeah.
This is like the
X.
only. Is this like the only fighting game where you could be like, oh, I could play as X and Zero on a team? Like,
Yeah, and your team will. This is like that Spider-Man Chun-Li X23 shit I heard last time. You can pick X if you want to.
Who plays that team?
that's back when I was playing the game. That's back when I was playing the game. Just picking favorite characters. That's back.
But that's sad. Not you. But I'm saying when a game has so many cool and iconic characters and like mechanically they all are damn near not good.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad. Like you should be able to play that team and it should at least work on some fundamental level.
Yeah, but since
But in Marvel 3, no, it's not. Marvel 2 is even worse.
Oh.
Oh.
All right, hold on. Marvel 2 is salvageable. Like,
It's not.
You have low tier teams or low tier tournaments where all you have banned are like the top 5-6 characters, right? And you can play literally anyone else. No one fucking gives a single shit. No one complains. You can play any fucking team combination and it works. The only thing is that the god tier characters are so unfathomably stronger that it's unfair to play against them with a general speaking top tier or below team because of that huge ass gap that you need at least one god tier character.
Now, can you imagine if they did that for Dragon Ball? Like, hey, here's a new no Saiyan characters allowed. Like, is that really a good balance?
I don't think you could do that in Dragon Ball.
Exactly, you can, but you see what I mean?
You can't even say no more Goku. Like that's.
I just said no more Saiyans. Period. Like none. Now imagine how that game looks with no Saiyans. That's how it looks for Marvel 2 with low tier characters. Like, well, it's shitty that you have to have a whole different. Do you guys know why those characters are top tier? By the way,
I mean, yeah, of course. I'm pretty sure anyone. God, fucking busted. Like, Cable, by the way, realistically speaking, if it wasn't for his good meter usage, right? And
yeah, he's okay at best.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. Like characters like Strider, Cable, they're okay.
Yeah.
They're only good on a team that they are obviously on. They are not like Captain Commando's an ass character. But that assist though, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that assist though.
Yeah, but you gotta realize, I gotta play the rest of the character, huh?
Well, it's not even that.
Yikes.
Like you get saved the trouble if somebody snaps in Captain Commando, and they mix you up.
Yeah, but it's like it's bad to play a character only for an assist because it's like you're just like you're not considering the rest of the character unless the rest of the character is trashed. And it's like, okay, now I got a good assist, but I gotta play a shitty character.
Exactly.
Yeah, and on a similar note, it's the same thing for the other way around. When you have a good character, good solo, but their assist has no contribution, it's just as like downgrading. It's not as downgrading because then when it comes down to the last character, you know that you don't have to worry about your assists. But assist has always been a fundamental part of these kind of tag games because it's an option that gives you a lot more power to your character for covering up their weaknesses. Once you have a strong character with an overall good fundamentals and good tool set, but what few weaknesses they have is fucking mitigated by the enemy team or enemy character, whatever that matchup is, then what difference does it make? And I think at the end of the day, that's what it really comes down to for those kind of games.
No, that makes sense. Like since we're
I kind of want Dave and Chilean to get their story out so we can move on. Not to say like because I really want to. I'm gonna let y'all go because I have a lot to. I want to.
Yeah, Dave, go ahead. And which, incidentally, wasn't Marvel like your first like real fighter?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Marvel 2 was like the one fighting game that got me to take fighting games seriously. But the first fighting game I've ever played was Street Fighter 2 in the arcades. And then since then, like, I was just playing it for fun until like Marvel 2 happened. And like me, Thanos, and our other friend Matt, we all played it at the same time. And I think the turning point for me for that game is when we all went to Palladium. It was like this arcade we have in Mississauga. When we went there was a guy playing Marvel 2, and he was rocking Magneto, and like he was doing like all this like cool extra shit that I've never seen before. And he actually took the time to show me how to do it. And we had like the all-nighter free play. I think it was like 3 hours of just free play cards. So
yeah, I think it was like you spent $25 and you got like 5 hours of free play or something like that.
Yeah, it was something stupid ridiculous back then. But he was showing me like all like the extra air dashes that Magneto could do, like the hypergrav cancels, all that stuff, right? So after that night, when we went home, we spent the night at Matt's place. So Matt and Thanos are asleep, and I'm on Matt's Dreamcast, just like practicing like all the not Doctor Doom, Magneto air combos and stuff like that. And I think it was either 2002 or 2003 is when I went to my first Marvel 2 tournament at Enemy North. And mind you, it was very small because like not a lot of people participated in it. But I think it was like about 10 to 15 people that participated. And the prize was that you get these two Evangelion Christmas statues. So you get Rey and Asuka. And luckily I came first in that tournament. I still have the statue with me. I'm like jumbling up my words here. The reason why I only have one of them is because a friend I met there, when they revealed the prize, we both wanted the Rey statue, and we didn't want the Asuka one. But we came to the agreement that whoever comes first gives up the Asuka statue to the person who comes second. So since I came first, I gave him the Asuka statue. So yeah, that's pretty much my story. Like since then, like I've been trying to play other games competitively. Like right now, trying to learn Dragon Ball and trying to get my skill up in that. And I think my skills is pretty fair in KOF 14 right now. I've been in one tournament for that game, and I came fourth, but it was also a small tournament because like not a lot of people in Michigan play KOF 14, which is really, really sad. We need more KOF love, man.
You didn't go to Canada Cup? I'm surprised.
Huh?
Why didn't you try going to Canada Cup?
Because I'm always working. I work 2 jobs, right? So yeah. So come November, I'll have time to like go to tournaments and stuff like that. Because that's what I kind of want to do next year. Like go to the locals. Because I think like every week on Wednesday they have a local in Toronto. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So like me and Alvaro could go do that next year once this virus thing dies down.
Yeah, once this whole thing blows over, I mean, by all means, I think ANC has a couple of tournaments as well.
Yeah.
So. And you know what, Dave? Just throwing it out there, we could host, man.
Yeah, I just need money.
You know what I mean?
I just need money and a venue.
Yeah, exactly. But that'd be kind of fun too.
That would be fun. Maybe one day. Maybe once I feel comfortable with like my technical skills using like my Elgato and streaming and stuff like that. Once I feel comfortable doing that, I'll probably host some tournaments.
I would love to do commentary. That would be a lot of fun as well.
Oh God.
Yeah, that'd be a blast.
We won't last. I can tell you that.
Hey, go down swinging, right?
Oh God. I guess it's your turn.
Oh yeah, man. Hell yeah. Okay, yeah. So like, I mean, I'm sure. I think a lot of us kind of feel this way though. Like when we were little, like we all played fighting games, But like the main point of this topic was like, it's not like just playing, because like there's one thing playing, learning the moves, and you're like, okay, yeah, I got this, I know this. When you truly get your clock cleaned by somebody who knows what they're doing, that's an awakening. That's a moment. And for me, that was Capcom versus Engage 2. My friend Jonathan, man, he took me and my high school friend Jake. We used to play all the time, but we didn't know what we were doing. So at that point, it's almost like, well, what's the point, right? Like, if you truly don't know what you're doing, you're just pressing buttons and doing moves and, you know, being impressed by yourself. So Jonathan just kind of like took us to school, punished us on whiffs and stuff like that. We were trying to do like Shungoku Satsus and getting like rocked for it. It was a crash course of an ass whipping. But needless to say, he did afterwards took the time with us and really like broke down everything of the game. And CVS 2, like looking back at it, is a really, really technical. Like there's a lot going on there. It's like a collection of history in a game with each groove and understanding what each groove does and whatnot. It's incredible in that sense. So it was quite the eye-opening experience for both of us. And man, honestly, it was such an awakening. We then did like a tournament in Anime North. I think I ended up getting knocked out of the second round, but Jonathan won that one. He won an SNK soundtrack, which was a really weird one where the fighting game characters were singing. I'm not sure if you guys know about that.
It's probably
thing.
It's probably one of the KOF ones because I have the King of Fighters 95 album, and in one of the songs, there's like a bonus track where Terry Bogart's singing a song. I always
That's
skip
the one.
it.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So I always skip it. I always skip it. I'm like, Terry, you're my favorite character, but you can't fucking sing.
It is one of the most bizarre, surreal things. But it's real, and I mean that's kind of cool. And yeah, you know, I mean, I haven't had the time really to play many fighters nowadays, but knowing now how to approach fighting games, I think it's a really cool for me. I feel like this is awesome now because now I can actually play the game and enjoy it. And you know, if I get beat, I'm like, okay, cool. This is how I got beat. This is why, and it just makes sense to me. So honestly, like that. That's probably one of the best things about it because I can enjoy the fighting games as a whole subgenre on another level. Which, you know, at the end of the day, for me, that's all. What more could a guy ask for? You know?
Well, I always think like when you play a fighting game against like a better player, like a more experienced player, like that's like the most fun you'll ever have because you're learning, right? And once you see the progression, the game gets more fun. Like. I'll get some flack for saying this. The year and a half where me and Thanos was like practicing Street Fighter V for Evo, that was probably like the most fun I've ever had in Street Fighter V. I know people hate that game. I know people hate that game with a passion, but once you're like playing with friends, because I was playing with friends, I was also playing ranked, and like just like learning as you go along. And like I have videos posted where you can see my progression. Like I had a freaking blast. Like I remember, I played it so much where I was at Thanos' place in Sudbury, and Thanos was playing online, and he was playing against a Ryu player, right? So Thanos was just like mopping the floor against this Ryu player, right? And I'm just like, Thanos, he's going to DP. And Thanos was like, what? And the guy actually DP'd, and he wasn't ready for it.
Reads.
Like Thanos blocked it, but he wasn't ready to punish it. And he was just like, how the fuck you know? I'm like, bro, I've been playing a lot of Ryus online. They do the same shit.
That reminds me of a story that happened to me. Damon was over at my house and I was playing, and it was like it was a random rank match, and I was talking to him. I was like, look, Damon, okay, so first this guy player's gonna do the walls up, and he's gonna try to hit me. I'm gonna do a heavy DP. He's gonna hit. He's like, bro, you don't got reads like that, man. I promise you he's not gonna do it. I said, watch. First thing I did heavy DP and I hit him from a wall jump. I was like, told you. He was like, bro, what the fuck you? I was like, I'm telling you, Pay attention.
And then he RQ'd, which was at the right moment. I was like, you know what? I think Alex deserved points for that. That was points.
Yeah, man. I'm just saying, like, I knew he was gonna do he had guy, like there was no choice he was gonna do but try to either go for a slide, a tick throw, or a command jump. And I was like, well, all three of these options, a heavy DP is gonna
end all of it.
So hey.
It's always nice to get reads like that.
I feel like for fighting games, it's best when you are playing an opponent that is on your skill level that you both respect each other. You know what I mean? Like if you're both playing and somebody thinks they're better than you or you think you're better than them, then you're going to be playing with a different sense of pride. If someone's way better than you, you're either going to have to be open to learn how to get better. And contrary to popular belief, losing does not make you better at fighting games. I'm sorry. Anybody who tells you that, they're just being naive. It's not just simply losing. It's losing and then learning how to learn.
You gotta learn. Yeah, you gotta learn from it.
Learning is different than losing.
Oh
yeah,
you can lose 100 rounds and not learn anything.
Mm-hmm.
You could learn from 100 rounds and still lose. Those are two different things.
I definitely would say.
Yeah.
I would definitely say it's your mindset going into it though, because I think some people say I played Tekken 3 when it came out, and I was the best in my house at Tekken 3, for example, right? I'm not saying that I was, but then you're like, oh, Tekken 7. Wait a minute, I was good at Tekken 3, so that means I must be really good at Tekken 7. Of course, it translates, and then you run into Leroy Smith or Akuma, and you get bodied. You get bodied hard, and you're sitting there like, what the hell? What happened? Where did my skills go? I was supposed to win. Like, no one's like, the idea that you're supposed to, like, you gotta get that idea out of your head.
Supposed to win gets me killed a lot. Like,
yep.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm supposed to win against this X. I'm playing with a different mindset, and I'm playing to win, and I'm like, oh, this person sucks. There's so much worse. I'm on my Vegeta shit, as I call it. When I'm in Vegeta mode, it's really bad. Just like Vegeta, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to lose.
From a scale of 1
you're
to
underestimate the
10,
girl and you get your fucking arm broken. Sweet.
I mean, well, first of all, he could have won. He couldn't have won
against 19.
No, 18.
18.
Oh,
he
18,
was
yeah,
not.
18,
no, 18 was way stronger than him. But he could have folded Cell. But of course,
it's
that Vegeta ego came in the way and said, "Oh, you want to do another? You want to do another set? You know what? Matter of fact, I'm gonna let you get a whole new team." Okay.
Oh, on top of that, here's a sensu bead, my guy.
That's Goku. I watched it and somebody made a great point. Cell is the only character I've seen that. Well, I personally think that Cell is a good villain because he shows all the weaknesses of the main heroes the best. But on the flip side, he is the only character I know that cries and complains to let the characters let him get stronger, and then they let him get stronger. That's the first form Cell. He could have got bodied free, but then Piccolo was like, "All right, yeah, okay, I'm gonna try to think my way through this one." That didn't work. Well, this isn't a Dragon Ball discussion, so I'll save that for a different day. I was about to go in.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I do think one of those things when you want to learn a fighting game, you do have to be a little humble in knowing that you don't know. Like, because again, as I mentioned with my story, knowing the special moves, knowing like the finishers and stuff like that, that only gets you so far. You're really, really just scratching the surface. Like, understanding what's a good standing high punch, or what's a good knockdown or throw setup. All these kind of things are connected to the bigger picture of learning the fighters, and you do have to really be that kind of humble when you're learning. And if you don't have that ability to be humble, well, you probably shouldn't be playing fighting games.
Hey man, I feel like you just attacked me personally.
A part of it, but you to learn. Like,
no. Oh well, actually, cockiness is it helps you though. I think
it depends.
Like
somebody who does
could,
both. It depends.
Yeah,
Like today, I just got humbled. Well, yeah, no, I got humbled. That shit was irritating.
Yeah,
he was like, "Oh yeah, I don't know how to play this game." Hit me with 3 whole confirms. I said, "Bro, you don't know how to play this game? You don't? Okay. See, that's what I get for believing you."
You sure about that? Yeah, like cockiness helps because no one's going to be cocky for you, right? So, and it does kind of it mind game. Like that's like a layer on a layer with the game within the game, if you will, right? So there is that, and it helps, banter and stuff like that. Getting into your opponent's head and stuff like that, for sure. Like in competitive play, I'm sure you guys have stories about that, no? Like
I have a lot of stories about being cocky / being confident. Those are 2 different things. And then being the person on the opposite end. So somebody else was being cocky or confident.
I think I only have like 1 or 2 stories.
Well, I mean, we do have on the record a man putting up his girlfriend for a game. So
no, okay. See, okay. See, I wasn't even trying to take her. I just look, like I said, I just simply said, if you want to play her for your, hey, I'm open to play. He was like, the game room's not open yet. I said, we'll wait. We're waiting right now. She looked at me, then he left. I was like, see, I got you.
See, right
I think the only other one that I have is that when I went to Combo Breaker, I played someone for a first 5 for some money. He didn't have the money, so I took a shirt.
Damn, took the shirt off that man's back.
Was it off his back or was it when he bought?
It was off his back.
Golly, was he built or was he fat?
He was in the middle.
Oh, you just created a serial killer. Some girl in his basement right now is cursing your name. It doesn't even know you.
I would say like one of my fun tournament moments is when I came in second in a tournament on a game I played that day, and that was crazy.
That sounds like the turn. Oh, go ahead.
First time ever?
Yeah.
Was it?
It was the Japanese release of Tatsunoko versus Capcom.
Oh wow!
Oh hey, fun game.
Yeah, can they bring that game back? Because it was a good game, but it was on the Wii. That shit was ass. Bro, no. See, because I was playing the game on a Wii, on Nintendo Wii Online. That was.
Oh yeah,
that's
so
special.
Bad.
You can keep
that's
that.
Special.
Keep that. I was like, I'll wait. And then I saw Marvel 3. I was like, oh, this is Tatsunoko with Marvel characters. I'll take that instead.
I got like 2. I got like 2 more things to unlock in Tatsunoko versus Capcom, but I have to play online to get those 2 things. Yeah, that's not happening.
Unless you go in the game's files and like unlock it yourself. That's a little much.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about mind games earlier, and I think one of my favorite examples of that tournament was there's this guy. I think his name was No Respect, and he plays Urian in Street Fighter 5. And he's going up against exactly. With a name like No Respect, like what else would you expect? But he was going up against Punk, and Punk was, I think he was playing Cammy or Colleen
Karen,
instead of no. He mains Karen, but he was just playing with Cammy just for the heck of it. And what happened was, so they play, and No Respect beats him in the first match, and then Punk went back to character select, and No Respect was yelling at Punk, and he's like, "Give me your Karen." He's like, "I don't want to be playing your Cammy." He's like, "I want to see your Karen." And this was perfect like mind game scenario, because if Punk does what his opponent is telling him to do, he's gonna be picking his main, and he'll probably win, but that would involve doing what this disrespectful guy is telling you to do. And he's like, yo, fuck, I'm not gonna do what this guy tells me to do. So instead he picks a character like that he isn't as good with, and he play. And I forget how the match went, but that kind of interaction, it's completely outside of the game, right? It was just in between rounds, just something that this guy said, and it just it gets under their skin, and it's a weird kind of dynamic that I think is pretty unique in terms of fighting games.
Just like the Switch chair mix-up on Go 1?
Man, let's not talk about that shit, boy. I watched it live. I'm like, it should not take you that long. They were sitting there puzzled, like mentally hard. I'm like, bro, it's a chair. Say yes or no.
You saw that? You saw that live? You saw that live?
Yes, I was watching live. I'm like,
no, we were in the stadium. Okay, I was in the stadium when that shit happened. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah. You see, and the problem was the reason why this was a big deal is because what happened was, Sonic Fox wanted to switch just because he wanted to, ice Goichi, right? Just to kind of cool off his momentum. And Koichi's like, what the hell? What does it even matter? He's like, just keep on playing. And Sonic Fox was like, no, you need to switch. And they actually had to look up the evil rules. And apparently, the person who loses the last match has the choice to switch. And so they actually had to go to the rules, and that's why it took forever.
Wow.
That's
I'm sorry. That's a godlike play. Like, to really, instead of like going to character select and just sitting there for 5 minutes, you actually like got him so flustered. Like,
but is it a godlike play though? Like, think about it.
It actually is very intuitive and smart.
Not really, because think about it. Your win that you got is forever tainted by the fact you seat switched. So did you really win, or did you win on technicality? The fact that you have to ask that question means that your win is no longer as valid.
Let's Sonic Fox.
Let me present to you this, right? When you go to an arcade, right, and you used to play on the side-by-side cabs, doesn't matter what game, right? You always knew that there's a left side and a right side, right? There's a lot of people who are unaccustomed to fighting or practicing on one side, right? This is still evident to this day. Not as much now that we have a lot more online matches and people can actually grind out matches. They have been forced to play on a P2 side, but nonetheless, this is a very recurrent thing of people not having a natural advantage on the side that they didn't practice with, right? This is the reason why in Tekken, when you play online now, they have the camera angles changed so that way you will always be presented on the side that you would like to be until you physically swap over.
Yeah, but that's kind of.
I would say that's
because execution is different depending on the side you're.
And is that even true? Because I did not know that if that's the case.
Yeah, that is actually very true. It was studied, it was proven, and so when I was watching the broadcast and I see Sonic Fox do this, I was like, I know what he's about to do. He's going to take one side because it not only does it give them a more comfortable advantage, because you're normally sitting for, I would say, at least 40 to 60% of that time in the game on that side, you naturally, especially on your hands, depending on, let's say you're left-handed, right? If you're left-handed and you play inversely, right? The motion that you flick with is natural to you. Same thing with your right hand, right? Whatever hand you use. So when you do it in the completely opposite direction, it's a lot harder. It's the same thing with why people can't Korean backdash on one side, because the amount of muscles that you use to do that same input is different. So if you haven't practiced it as much and it's not as natural or fluent, or even if you did practice it to an equivocal amount, it still isn't a natural or fluent thing for you because it's kind of like the fast, slow response time where it takes more effort to do that thing. It fucks you up over time. There's certain combos that I can do on one side of the screen than I can on the other, simply because my natural hand motion does not allow.
So even though that's true, and I'm not disagreeing with you, I don't think that was a factor because it wasn't shown and or proven that Goichi had those weaknesses that was obvious. And everybody also was discussing like, oh, he wants to break momentum. Nobody at the time was like, oh, hey, is it because he wants to switch sides because the motions? They're like, nope, he's trying to break momentum because he's getting bodied. So it's like,
that's the same way how I look at it. I think it's more to break momentum because like he was so on fire on the first like 2 games. He was like on fire, and then as soon as that happened, like it kind of got to Goichi's head.
Yeah, and you could see thing is that like we're talking about Evo Grand Finals, like execution based on what side you're on at that tier of skill should not be a factor. But I think the fact that Goichi is a Japanese player and English is not his first language, and I'm sure if Sonic Fox was going up against some North American player, it would have been a quick back and forth, and then that would have been it, right? But because of the language barrier, because of all that, Koichi doesn't have a translator on stage. They had to.
You had to go find one.
Yeah, so it's I do think it was a play to stop the momentum. And like Dave said, what are you gonna do? Sit in character select for 5 minutes? No. Instead, what you do is you call to switch sides. And when this person doesn't understand what you're talking about, well, that's when you get to milk it.
But you see that unfortunately, let's say that becomes the standard, right? Not saying it would, but instead of if people go on the character select screen, okay, you obviously know what it means. But you're going to character select screen, so it's like 30 seconds. You can still look at your characters. You can make a choice. Okay.
Exactly.
So now imagine in every grand finals now, instead of breaking momentum, now we're just switching seats. Like it looks silly.
No, absolutely. And I think that it's ridiculous. Like I said, at that level of skill, sides should not be a factor, and that's why I think you're right. Theoretically, this could just devolve into everybody switching sides every single time you lose a match. Just to get the P1 side. Like that's kind of silly.
Because you gotta look at Apology Man. Apology Man could only play on P1 side when he plays Marvel, and I asked this. I'm like, he's like a known skilled player. Couldn't he just practice all the stuff he's done on P2 side?
Oh, go put it up. I gotta.
He should. That's for sure. Like the thing, like you said, he's a skilled player, and he should be able to do everything on P2 side. The fact that he doesn't is a shortcoming of his, because as soon as he gets crossed up, now what?
About to say, as soon as you switch aside, you are way worse. Mm-hmm. It's like, yikes.
Because for me, playing Vanessa, right? That super long wall bounce combo, I would normally do it on P1 side, because that's the side I've been training on, right? And I usually get scared doing it on P2 side because
okay, he got muted for now.
I usually get scared to do it on P2 side because I always fear I will drop it because my execution is not as tight on P2 side until I actually started to learn it, you know what I mean? And now and now I can do it on both sides. So I'm saying shouldn't tournament players get used to doing things on two sides?
Absolutely.
Because they have more time to train than anybody else. I got 2 jobs. Right? So I don't know.
These are very valid points. It's just that when we look at it beyond just breaking momentum, people seem to think that it's a minor thing that has no influence whatsoever, but it does have kind of significant influence. It's the same thing as lane playing, right? It's not only mental, but how much easier does it make it on your side versus the opponent really makes it that much of a difference. Maybe there was no real execution difference at the end of the day on the match, right? But some things like doing half circle back 2 times in one direction versus another, or whatever scenario that you're put in, sometimes doesn't make a bit of a difference.
Yeah.
So what was next on the topic?
Well, I mean, I think one thing as well, it's an interesting case because I think a lot of there's that casual player that kind of plays on the side a lot. And he expects to win every game, and I'm not sure if you guys encountered that kind of player where you're like, okay, but what do you want from this fighting game? Do you want to be the best? Because just like anything in life, it takes time, and I found this more so online when I was playing Street Fighter 4, and man, I'm sure you guys have had your private messages of hate, right?
Where I've sent hate or I've gotten hate?
Gotten hate.
I ironically never have gotten hate.
Really?
I grew up in that environment because I was online the whole time.
Yeah, and for some reason,
if it wasn't during race chat, I didn't get it.
Huh. Yeah, no, for some reason, my Bison just really irritated people. And I don't know. I was like, I'm okay. I'm not even that good. So I'm not sure why people are getting so upset.
Well, I think it has to do with the fact that Bison is a character where if you don't know how Bison works, it's just you're just caught with your pants down, and it's not gonna it's not going to end well, you know? Just because
True.
If you don't know how to punish Psycho Crushers, you don't know how to punish the different scissors when they're space proper. Like, I can see people just losing it online.
Yeah.
But it's also like
standing high kick as well with my friend.
I mean, like Guile, Sonic Boom. That is really hard to fight. Well, technically, a Fireball war in general is hard to fight. I think that Guile versus Ryu Fireball is like a really good theory to explain how Street Fighter's played. Because two different type of fireballs that have two different types of goals that are thrown completely different ways that you still have to establish. Like,
I mean, even Dulcium as well, right?
Yeah. Or a character like Sagat. Different fireballs.
Well, like a character like Guile, like especially when you chuck his light boom, you could use it as protection to walk up to the character, right? Like out of all the projectile type characters, like Guile is like the only one who could walk with his fireball, I find.
Yeah, and you know that is on purpose, just because it's how he kind of closes the gap. But I do think he has an advantage in fireball, just because the recovery on his booms is a lot lower than the recovery on like a Shoto's fireball, because you're basically front loading the recovery because of the charge, right?
Oh, so your charge is your recovery.
Exactly. So because you're charging and you gotta hold that down back, the game rewards you after you're done the move with less recovery frames, right? So Guile in a fireball or has a advantage, but I do think that the following the light boot is a very interesting dynamic.
He has a physical advantage, but a mental neutral. Does that make sense? So physically, his fireball is better than Ryu's, but mentally, since you're thinking my fireball or Guile's fireball is better than Ryu's, you're thinking about it in a different case. Like you're like, okay, my fireball is faster, I can throw it. So then, as a Ryu player, you have to bait his fireballs and make him throw, or make the player throw their fireballs in a specific way to either throw a bad fireball, throw a fireball you can answer to, or make him want to jump, which those are all hard to do because in Guile's situation, he doesn't have to. So the game can really stand still until one of you guys makes a choice.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why you'll see a lot of Shotos either trying to read the booms and jumping over them, or they'll throw the EX fireball just to
or a hurricane kick.
Yeah, exactly. You know, roundhouse hurricane kick goes through a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, Dave brought up an interesting idea when he was talking about Angel, and he looked at Angel and was like, "Nope." Was there a fighting game that you guys kind of played and kind of saw what it was like, and you were like, "You know what? Not my game." Where you kind of like, where you stepped away.
Easy answer for me. Any 3D fighting game.
Exactly.
Damn, really?
Wow. Not for
harsh.
The only 3D fighter
I don't hate it. I don't hate 3D fighters. It's just like it's not for me. Like the only one I could like decently play is Soul Calibur 2 because I own it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Soul Calibur for some reason is one of the few 3D fighters that's actually to get my head around, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that because each character has a unique weapon, the ranges are more clear. You know that someone like Max is going to have to get in, whereas someone like Siegfried is just has its big ass sword, right? I'm not saying zone doesn't exist in games like Tekken or whatever, but it's like a lot of the 3D mechanics, the sidestepping, the Korean backdashing, all the movement tech that goes with 3D games. It's something that I've never gotten my head around, and I haven't taken the time to learn, and I don't think I want to invest the time to learn a 3D game. But Soul Calibur was a little bit easier because of the focus on the weapons and the ranges. It de-emphasized some of the movement. Now, I'm saying that playing as someone who has never entered a Soul Calibur tournament in my life, like I'm sure at higher levels, the movement is very much a real thing. But it was a little bit easier for me to play Soul Calibur, but even that, I just couldn't play 3D fighters. Just something about it.
I think for me it's interesting because I remember kind of enjoying Virtual Fighter,
too.
but I never knew, like truly knew what Virtual Fighter was. When you see a man playing Kage with one hand and like rocking it, I was just like, yeah, I don't know this game. I don't know, like there is a layer, and like my hat's off to Virtual Fighter players because man,
it is a fun time. I will tell you
Wow.
that, but it is it's a very methodical. Like 3D fighters, I've played them and 2D fighters. I'll say that they take a different set of skills to work on. So the 3D fighter is more based on move and move list knowledge. You have to approach it more like an actual fight than like just playing a fighting game. So you're not going to be worried about fireballs and anti-airs and super jumps and cross-ups. You're more worried about side steps and ranges and speeds and things like that. It's much more of a movement-based game.
And then Akuma came out in Tekken 7.
But to be fair, yes, they're based on 2D, but they put into a 3D space. So even though you're playing in 2D,
converted surprisingly well.
Yeah, because it's easier. Well, from what I've heard, it's easier to go from 2D to 3D than the 3D to 2D. So you can add things to 2D characters to make them 3D. It's kind of hard to take things away from 2D characters to make them, or from 3D characters to make them 2D. Just look at Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Like those characters converted great, but you're not playing Tekken anymore. You're playing Street Fighter with a Tekken character in them.
Well, shit, like when I saw CVS2 for the first time and I saw Kyosuke in the game, I'm like, wait a minute, how is he gonna work?
Yeah,
that's true. I forgot about that. Yeah,
like it was really
fun.
Really cool to see him like as a 2D sprite. I just wish they had more rival school characters in that.
Can they bring rival schools back?
That would be nice.
Project Justice 3. Let's go.
Speaking of which, I just purchased Project Justice. It's sitting in my collection right now.
I'm about to hit the emulator for that, but you can purchase it all you like.
Oh, I'm trying to finish my Street Fighter collection because I think I'm like 10, maybe 9 games left, and I have everything.
When I move into a new place on my own, I'll start collecting things again. But for now, I'll enjoy it how I can.
Yeah, I would say for me, I don't have a particular fighting game series that I would be like, yo, nope, that's not me. I just have fighting game iterations in every series that I go, nope, that's not me. Like, I dislike the majority of Street Fighter games, but I'll still play a decent amount of the iterations because they're still enjoyable and they still have things that I look forward to, especially within the characters.
Right.
That being said, I hate charge characters the most because of Street Fighter. But in King of Fighters, I can make a couple of exceptions, like Yona. But then we get into like DD games where it's like I play almost all of the Bloody Roar games, and I think all of DOE except for 4. I think it was. I think it's 4. One of the two. It's either 4 or 2. One of those two I hate playing. But I don't have a series where I hate the entire franchise. I used to hate the entire Street Fighter franchise, and then eventually they a good couple of games.
Oh wow, really? Like the whole franchise, though?
Yeah, I do mean like the whole franchise. It was a bit of a KOF bias, not because of me disliking the gameplay, but me disliking the American scene and how respect me as a KOF player got. Like, I can't explain to you how bad it is, especially in Philadelphia. When I was in the early 2000s, and I'm like, yo, you guys heard of this game called King of Fighters? Oh, you mean that game that's a parody of Street Fighter? My nigga, what?
But see, that's the thing. That's how,
they're bugging, but they're kind of have a point though.
They see it that way because when Street Fighter 2 came out, that's when like all like the, I would say, quote, clones came out. Right?
Well, that's the thing. Every single 2D fighter was a clone.
Yeah.
Even though they weren't, but that's in people's consciousness. 2D fighters were Street Fighter.
Like I'll give you some backstory because there's one fighting game from Data East that I loved called Karnav's Revenge.
Yeah.
AKA Fighter's History. And
Fighter's History.
I freaking love the look of this game, and I did some research on it, and I didn't even know Capcom tried to sue Data East.
Wait, what game are we talking about again?
Karnav's Revenge.
I forgot that game existed. Never mind.
So
Yo, I didn't know that.
That game shows you my age. So Capcom actually tried to sue these guys because they said it's too similar to Street Fighter 2. And I'm like, whoa, oh my god, like Capcom actually tried to have a lawsuit to this one particular game that's almost like Street Fighter 2.
Quick question. Did they try to sue Art of Fighting?
No,
because that was made by former Capcom employees as well as Fatal Fury 1.
They had the guy named Ryo Sakazaki.
The thing is,
that was more of a parody. Well, no.
Yeah,
it was
which
more
is
like
weird, right? Like,
so, if it's not really well known, I wish it was a little bit more apparent, but Capcom and SNK has had a lot of their swapping in between the two companies for a large amount of times. Our most notable characters from both series are the same people who are going in between both of them at certain times and throughout the years. And this is the reason why characters like Yuri and Ryo and Sakura and Ryu are very similar. This is the reason why you have Ryo and Robert, Ryu and Ken. They're all made by the same 1, 2, 3 people, which is the reason why when it comes down to Capcom versus it's a little less SNK versus Capcom than it is two different iterations of designs that were made around the same time. Ryu and Ryo were both made at the same time, but they were just different games. Mm-hmm. They wanted two completely different directions for these games. With that in mind, this is the reason why we also have joke characters like Dan, for example, and I forgot who the joke character is for. Oh, it's Yuri. Yuri's the joke character for
No, I would say the joke character is Shingo, not Yuri.
Actually, but Yuri did some of their moves. So like Shin Shoryuken. Like
the thing is,
wouldn't Sakura have been a joke?
No, so the thing is, the joke character from Capcom is Dan. Dan is the iteration of Ryo, Yuri, and Robert in one character. And then SNK clapped back with Shingo. Shingo's supposed to be a parody of Sakura. That's what's supposed to be. Yeah. That's what's supposed to be.
And both characters aren't in a game anymore. Guess the joke is dead.
Because like the thing is Capcom and SNK they just rocked off each other because like in 2001 Yuri has Shin Shoryuken and Shingoku Satsu, and if you do Shingoku Satsu enough times with Yuri, she'll pose like Akuma. Normally she does her pose, but on a random occasion she'll pose like Akuma after. So like they were parodying off of each other all the time. Even when they made SNK versus Capcom Chaos, they made Dan the strongest character in the game, and they gave him 2 of Ryo's moves.
I mean, Capcom and SNK don't like each other. Never have.
That's funny.
They have a respect for each other.
They don't.
No, they do. They do.
They don't.
They have somewhat. The reason why it's only somewhat is because they have to acknowledge the fact that someone gets their fucking employee taken to the other company, and they're like, "Yo, we don't like that our employee is living in our company to your fucking company. So here's the fucking joke character." And that's what it really was. It was just petty retaliation over 5 to 12 employees.
So I guess them saying they have a mutual respect for each other in that 25th anniversary documentary was a lie, right?
How about the fact that they didn't actually make Capcom and SNK or Capcom versus SNK? They had to have a third party like make the deal for that.
Well, because they went out of business. That was the
because
whole thing.
Capcom took most of the profits from the games.
Well, the contract said that they will both make games, but they both keep the profit of whatever.
Yeah, and the Capcom games made more profit, and then they're also supposed to make one. And then magically, when did CVS 2 come out? That's a sequel, is it not?
Well, yeah.
Speaking of which,
they had to make 2 games from each company. So Capcom Capcom had
SVP, and then they had the Neo Geo game. The Neo Geo game failed.
SBC Chaos,
Chaos game also failed.
Yeah. So
CVS 1 was okay. CVS 2 did better, and then people didn't really like The Neo Geo games were the characters. SNK was already going out of business due to their arcade endeavors.
Well, no,
and
it's
some other
the
things.
pachinko. They.
But I'm talking about 2001, not 2000.
We're talking about when they first went bankrupt, back when Examu was fucking up their shit.
Well, Examu only bought their stuff out because SNK was already going business because they had the Neo Geo, the arcade version, arcade home machine version. Then they had the portable system that didn't work. Then they had a lot of failed games.
Well, when you have,
so they were going to business.
When you
stuff.
have
Examu was the developer behind the failed games. And so they had the IP, right? So when SNK was closing down, Kawasaki, the CEO, had to make Playmore in order to get their IP rights back from Examu.
I know, but they had already sold the rights because they were already out of business. That's why Examu had the rights. That's what I'm saying.
But I was gonna say, wasn't there supposed to be a Tekken cross Street Fighter?
There was, but
Yes.
it didn't.
It's not coming either.
Street
no
Fighter
time
Cross
soon,
Tekken. No, that failed. So they're like, haha.
Street Fighter Cross Tekken was laughed at. That's
They
how
always
bad
hint at
was.
it, but
was
it's never
laughed
going to happen. Let's be honest.
That shit is never happening.
No.
True.
Only way it
I
would
was
happen
really-
is if Tekken 7 did really well, which it is, and Capcom got their shit together and was like, hey, and then Harada was like, maybe. So
Maybe.
but
Shit.
do I really want to play that? The way everybody's crying about Akuma, do you really want half the game to be Street Fighter characters in Tekken? Do you really?
My thing is,
No.
I think
That's a good
Capcom
point.
shouldn't. I think Capcom shouldn't focus on any crossover games right now. I think they should just try to focus on bringing back some of their older IPs. Like, how many times you're gonna run Street Fighter to the ground? Like, I get that everybody knows what Street Fighter is, but I think it's time to like dive into like another IP.
It depends.
Okay, they only have 3 other the most IPs that they have, as far as I can think of off the top of my head, that people are actually going to pay attention as far as the fighting game scenes goes, is 4. It's the Capcom versus games, and Project Justice and Darkstalkers.
Let's be honest here. Project Justice, Darkstalkers, really not that popular. Weren't that popular when they came out. You got to do a lot of merchandising and marketing to get people to care. So even though those are good, I would pick those. It's going to be a lot harder. It's going to take a lot more than just releasing a game. Like, here's our game. No,
they have to market it.
You're going to have to do different merchandise. You're going to have to do multimedia expansion. You're going to have to do social media movement. You're going to have to make people care about these characters. Then you're also going to have to make people value playing a fighting game and getting good. Because if you don't do both those things, there is no point to make a new fighting game. You're just going to kill the franchise yet again, and you're going to be back to where you started, where
here's the thing. We came up on a 20th anniversary last month, and if there was ever a time for Capcom to have said, yo, we should probably say we're trying to, get the IP back or some shit, right? It would have been then. Literally the entire fucking year, there was a huge-ass fucking rival schools back, and I think I cut all of it. But there was a huge-ass uprising for rival schools to come back, and we did the entire 20th anniversary, the art, all the celebrations, all that shit. Basically, the entire moment. And the fact that Capcom looked at it and was like, "Oh, that's cute." Their fault.
Yeah, because Capcom, if you don't realize the way that company runs, a lot of Japanese companies kind of run this way, at least the way I remember it, or read, or heard. When something fails, they're not about to try it again. You either it's going good. You fail once, all right, it's on death's door. If it fails again, it's done. If your creator or the team that was a part of the project leaves, it's done. Or even if it leaves on bad terms, it's really done. If you have those are really the only 2 things. If you fail or the team behind it leaves, the franchise is not really getting touched. Devil May Cry 5 was not about to happen. Unless the guy who made it, he was already leaving. He was like, "Let me make Devil May Cry 5 if you make me stay." They were like, "Okay, I guess," and then it became a hit. Monster Hunter was already a poppin' franchise. Street Fighter is a beloved. The characters are well known in the popular culture. They just brought Devil May Cry back, even though I personally think Devil May Cry 3 is better than 5, but that's a different discussion.
I haven't even played 5 yet.
I think everyone will agree with that.
But 5 did great for the franchise. It definitely brought it back to the forefront. The Twitch era of gaming is insane, both great and bad.
Yeah, well, 5 had to come out because 4 was getting stale. I do wish that 5 released more complete Like,
Five
that's
is-
a game.
5 is definitely a complete game.
Well, it is now, but back when it came out, there was
5?
Street Fighter 5. Yeah.
Oh,
man.
I'm talking about Devil May Cry 5. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I was like, no. Yeah, Street
No.
Fighter 5. Yeah, no. Not a complete
Yeah.
game.
No, but Devil May Cry 5. That's fine.
You know, Street Fighter 5 is a game where if you focus on the competitive without considering the casual and neither are happy, then you failed. Marvel Infinite is an example of you can ride the franchise only for so long, then if the game sucks. Yeah. And then you had Dragon Ball Fighters right around the corner. That was dumb.
And now everybody hates Dragon Ball Fighters right now.
Dragon Ball Fighters, it got stale. It's getting some popularity, but it's not as popular as before. Mainly because a lot of people who played it aren't Dragon Ball fans; they're fighting game fans.
Mm-hmm.
And most fighting game fans will switch off of games on and off after a while, so it happens.
Yeah, well, and then
I personally, I've given the game a break for a couple times. I've given Dragon Ball Fighters a break for months at a time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I gave it a 2-year break until they released the character that got me back in. So,
Who was that?
Kefla.
I knew it. I knew you were gonna say Kefla because everybody all of a sudden really loves Kefla, and I'm like, bruh, she was in the show for 2 episodes.
Yeah, but it's better than seeing a fucking Goku. Like, come on, man.
Bro, give me Super Saiyan 4 and give me Xeno Goku. I don't care.
Yo, give me babies so that way I can run Genji.
We could skip Baby Vegeta and give me Majin Vegeta and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Like, let's be honest, it's Dragon Ball. What characters do y'all really like? And then people were like, oh, we want to put Android 17 in the game. Okay, here's Android 17. Well, I don't want to play him. Then why did you ask for him? I hate people who do that. Oh, I want the characters I don't want to play Goku.
That would be my team within you. I just swear by it.
I never really asked for like anything for this game. Like, I played it a few times. I liked the look of it. I just never understood how to play it, so I gave it a break.
True.
And then I started seeing the DLC. Some of the characters did not really interest me to come back and play. Bardock did for a bit because he was cool.
Are you a Dragon Ball fan by any chance or no?
I like Dragon Ball. I'm not a huge fan, but I love it. Like, I watched it when I was a kid, right? So yeah. When I saw Bardock's reveal trailer, I came back for a bit to play Bardock because I think of him as if Ralph Jones from King of Fighters was the Dragon Ball character, it would be Bardock. And
yeah,
then,
exactly,
but on top of that, because the game again was too teams specific because of the assist, that's what kind of turned me off from it.
Sounds like Marvel 2 to me.
So that's what kind of turned me off of it because I'm just like, oh man, I don't want to like go through this again. And then when season 3 came out and they showed Kefla and they're like, oh, we got selectable assists now. I'm like, okay, let me see how the selectable assist works now, so that way more people could pick different teams instead of just like somebody Vegeta because Vegeta has the best assist. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's what kind of got me back into playing Dragon Ball, and it's a fun game. It's just I came in season 3. A lot of people left before season 3 even showed up, and saying the game is ass and shit now because like it's too stale.
Well, I guess that begs the question: how do you keep a fighting game alive? And that's a really tricky question because we're such a niche, and we're a very
cutting out, by the way.
Genre.
But yeah, the idea of how do you keep them coming back, right? Like,
yeah.
Well, from my experience, I've seen that you need to have a community that respects the game, values the game, and will continue to play the game as well as hold tournaments and things. You need a community. And then you need a game that is interesting enough to be watched and interesting enough to be played. So you need a community, you need players, and then you need players, community, you need a game, and then you need the social media / community awareness. Like back in the 2009ers, Mortal Kombat 9 was cool. It was Mortal Kombat, but it wasn't Street Fighter 4. It wasn't like everybody used to say, when's Marvel? Where's Marvel? Even if you never played Marvel, people were clamoring to watch it. People knew some of the characters. People knew the players that were playing it. People liked watching the history that was being made in Marvel, right? In Street Fighter 4, same thing. Any other fighting game, it's not really hitting on that level. mainly because at that time it was Capcom or nothing. So if it wasn't a Capcom game, nobody cared. And yeah, if you don't have a community of people who play it and people who are broadcasting it, it's definitely going to die out.
Now, I don't play it very much. I don't play Tekken 7 at all. But I think Tekken did a really good job keeping people interested up until the whole Leroy fiasco, from what I understand. Like, maybe you guys can talk a little bit more about that. But it seemed like they held on for a while, making sure that everybody was happy.
I don't know what Damon would say about Tekken 7, but me personally, I feel like Tekken 7 is as popular as it is because Capcom fucked up. So they gave other companies an opening.
Well, yeah, that's what it is.
Tekken doing something right and more Capcom.
Well, Tekken does something right, but Tekken's been doing something right for a minute.
Now
it's just that
now
there's
people are trying to say.
Hold on. Tekken has been doing okay. They have not been doing nothing right per se. The most balanced game that has been out in the last 20 years of Tekken was Tekken 3. Tekken 7 is not balanced.
Yes, it is.
It's
not really.
arguably
Compared to the so you're gonna tell all the other Tekkens are more balanced than Tekken 7?
Tekken 3 right now is considered the most balanced game because everybody has bullshit.
Really
in that
crying because I bet because Tekken 3 gen is worse than Tekken 7 Devil Gen by a long shot. But all of a sudden it's more okay.
Tekken 3 Gen, yes, you are correct. Tekken 3 Gen is a lot worse.
But
than
all of a
Tekken
sudden
7 Devil Gen.
Balance. But people cry. All right.
People complain about a lot of stuff that you think, but for someone to actually talk to you about this, he asked me how do I like the overall balance of the game. I I love the balance of the game. Leroy's never fucked around, was actually pretty good in the game. There is no character that cannot win unless you're playing Gigas. But I'm sorry, Gigas Mans. But overall, like the balance,
he's trash.
Well, he's still not a character, but some people are making it work.
Okay, you can make him. I mean, like, if you have a low tier or a bad character, like, yeah, you can be a good player and make him win. But it's like me saying Sean is a good character because I'm winning with him. No, he's not good. I'm just playing the character, playing the game with a bad character and making him work or them work.
Barely.
Gigas is
like
designed at
you
all.
even said it yourself, Alex. Sean's bad on everything on hit borderline.
Yeah.
So I understand that. Like Gigas is minus 19 on jab. A singular jab. He's minus 19. You can launch him for that. Why?
Because he's Gigas. I don't know what to tell you.
Like,
but
why?
I honestly think Tekken 7 is the most balanced Tekken game we've had. It's the most balanced Tekken game we've had across the board because any of the top tiers, I agree. Like, they're crying about Tekken 7 Devil Gen. Okay, throw Tekken 4 Gen in the game real quick and see how everybody cries.
Tekken 4 Gen, Tekken 3 Gen, Tekken 5 Steve, Tekken 6 Bob Lars.
Or that's what I'm saying. Like
Miguel wasn't even that good in 6, but okay.
Like he wasn't good, but he's better than he was now.
Down forward 1 was +4 on block. I can just abuse down forward 1. What other tools do I have? What other tools do I need? There you go. That's Miguel for you.
What I'm saying is Laser Scraper. If they gave Devil Jin Tekken Force Laser Scraper plus his Hell Sweep buff, like they were arguing, they were talking about how Hell Sweep is really broken and it breaks the fundamentals of the game.
Actually needed the buff. Hell Sweep actually needed the buff and needed it.
Broken. It's just good now. Like it's
good. It's still like it's just really good because here was the problem with the Hell Sweep between the Mishimas. Except Hohachi, Kazi and Devil Jin got it. And Jin. Besides those two, Kazi and Devil Jin got it.
Normal Jin got the Hell Sweep buff?
No, he did not.
I was gonna say I don't think so.
So basically, Kazuya and Devil Jin are this now. If you do jab, you cannot step Hell Sweep if they do it on just frame reaction. In other words, if you jab and immediately Hell Sweep, you can't step that. You have to block. Or, react to it, or low parry, whatever. The reason why Devil Jin is crazier with it is because, unlike Kazuya causes a stun, but you can still step out of it. He's not plus on hit like like Devil Jin is. Devil Jin's plus 30 on hit. So it's a literal launcher at this point. So basically, if he does like any type of jab or any type of mix up in terms of jab, or does electric into Hell Sweep, you got to hold that. That's what it is. And pretty much people are complaining. All the people who are playing Tekken for the first time are going to complain about it, because most of these people who play Tekken 7 is the first actually playing Tekken and think they're actually good. That's not the case. Go back to Tekken Tag 1 if you want to see the same crap of Kazuya, Hahachi, and Devil Jin running through people. Because if you pay attention to Tekken Tag 1, which nobody in this case does, besides Ogre, they're the best 3 characters in the game. Hands down. Because it's literal footsies. That's what they're built upon. They're designed purely off of footsies and mix-up, pretty much, or vortex mix-ups. You are forced to play footsies with them. Which case no one wants to do. Because if you do that, most of the time, you're going to lose. Because in Tag 1, there was something called unscaled setups in that game, where if you get a launcher and you tag your partner and to do a combo, the next combo that hits on a tag is unscaled. So you literally die in one hit. That's what it is. That's what the tag series is. Now, fast forward Tekken 7, it's just like that, except Kazuya is not as bad. He still has bad frames on borderline everything he fucking does. He still has to play defensive Tekken. He still has to know everything about the game before you can actually play him at a very high level. And that's why you see a bunch of Kazuyas running amok online saying, yeah, I've been playing Kazuya for a while. No, you're not. You're a fake ass me. So get the fuck out of here. I've been playing Devil Jin for a while. Oh, no, you ain't, nigga. You've been a fake ass Devil Jin player for the longest time. You still do fucking 4-4-3+4 on block. That's minus 30 on block. What the fuck you doing that for? Get the fuck out of here. Anyways, moving back over from that. Yeah, like Devil Jin and Kazuya are fine now because they actually have a solidified mix-up to actually do something with it.
So wait, are you saying they're fine in 7?
Yeah,
they're fine in 7. Yes, they're perfectly fine in 7. Like, I didn't mind them getting buffed at all. The only thing people are really complaining about is the health, because they can't brainlessly just walk left and think, "Oh, I'm fine." Fuck Kazuya, fuck them. They're not even good characters. Nah, nigga, you get clipped. You getting this clip, my man. Take this clip on your ankles. Take this clip up your fucking skull. Good game, sir. How you doing? Man, fucking Kazuya Devil is fucking broken as shit, bro. I fucking hate this game. Nah, man, you just suck. Anyways, not only that, you also have to deal with Harang, who got some buffs. And now he's damaged the character. Because, unfortunately, Harang is locked under an execution barrier. He takes a long-ass time to get good at his shit because he requires stand changes, actual mix-up, and he's linear. He doesn't have many good tracking moves that goes with him. So, to me, I think he's more fair now because he needed the damage that he got. Because to me, he was underpowered. Like, he needs more damage than some of his folks. Now he had that damage. People are still complaining about Harang doing, like, 96 damage mid-screen with no wall because, oh, you got hit by backlash one time. That's not supposed to be. That's Tekken. Don't sit there and fucking complain that, oh, I should not be losing like 100 damage because I got hit. Well, why'd you get hit? That's exactly the problem with Tekken nowadays. Because people complain about Tekken to the point where they want to be good at the game and also be really fucking bad at it too.
Tekken now has gotten the popularity of the Street. Okay, hold on. Am I cutting out? Can't tell.
Yeah, you were cutting out a little bit, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I should be good now.
You're good now.
Tekken, the modern Tekken player is playing the new age esports. We get patches thing, and we expect our characters to be good. Every other Tekken game before this, I was trying to say this in the party, Damon. When you joined, they were like, "Yo, bro, Alex, you just don't understand moves and." Why is it locked behind execution? That doesn't excuse it, and it's really broke. I'm like, no, it's good. It's not broken, and there's still options to beat it. Like, oh, now you have to take the option. You can't really block it. I'm like, okay, well then low parry it. You can't sidestep it.
Still seeable. People don't
All
understand.
right, well,
it's still seeable.
and
You
I
can
guess you
still
get hit.
react to block or
I was gonna
low
say.
parry the
People
shit.
don't fear the move; they fear committing, learning, and that's what the problem is currently within our fighting game community. People are, hey, I want to play the game and not commit my time to. Not to say that when you're 30 and you got a life that you have the same 6 hours a day to learn the game as I do now, right? You have a wife, you have a kid, you have a job to worry about, you have a house to feed, whatever, right? You don't have that time, and that's understandable. But also at the same time, the bit of work you put in when you want to go sit back and relax for that 30 minutes to an hour should be just as much casual as it is you learning. And going back to what I posed the question of, how do you keep your community engaged? People will grind out in hours or two extensively, right, before they go switch to another game when you're on the brink of something new, right? And then you need to find a way to keep that person to continuously doing that thing, or even if that time gets reduced, for them to retain that same knowledge and have some kind of complacency where they're not too bad, right? Where you're at that intermediate point and you're like, hey, I may not be at the very top of my game, but I'm not at the bottom. And because of that, I'm okay with playing where I am without too much to complain, because I understand that I'm not understanding everything, and that's all right. But I don't understand too little for me to be confused by the game and put it down either.
I said this a while ago. People will do what they want to do, and people value what they want. So people just don't value fighting games. People just don't value playing them, and some people just cannot accept losing. Like, I'll admit, sometimes losing, it sucks. Losing is not fun. But I'd rather lose knowing I played good than win knowing I played bad, because playing bad sticks with you more than losing. Like, I played fighters 2 days ago. I probably can't remember my result, my win or my losses. So at the moment it feels bad or good, but the thought of me playing bad or playing good and I can remember how I played, I remember that feeling more than, oh, I won, oh, I lost. So just people need to understand the process of playing and learning and appreciating a fighting game at the higher level. But it's also up to fighting game. Oh,
is that you?
Anyway, that was me.
Oh.
Forgot I had it silenced, but then I unsilenced. But speaking of that ringtone, Final Fantasy VII Remake is a great game.
Oh, I haven't picked that up yet.
I'll be picking it up probably this weekend.
That is a great choice. But the new Dissidia game is trash, and I'm sorry that it is, because I really like Dissidia. It's a fighting game if you've never heard of it.
Oh, I heard of it.
But
Jamal played it a bunch, no?
That's a game I really wanted to. It was dead. I wanted it to come back, and it came back, but I was like, this is not what I wanted. And I was like, I want to buy it, but it's like nobody plays it because it's a dead game. And it's like, okay, I'm not about to sit here and buy a dead game just to play it with nobody.
Exactly.
You might not, but I've done that 1,000 times and pretty happy with that kind of stuff, because once again, I'm an arcade player at heart. So if nothing else, I'm playing the game to grind it out and learn what I can about that I, as a fighting game player, love to do in every fighting game that I touch. But also just the feeling of playing the arcade is something that will be eternal. So I'm different in that case. I have at least 6 different games that I know I'm never going to touch and play with somebody else. But I continuously play them in my own spare time and try to be as great as possible.
I prefer playing people and playing. I'd rather play people than play computers.
Yeah.
So arcade. I didn't grow up in the arcades. Like, I have an arcade in my city, so I went there. But I also play fighting games at home. But I also was playing them in the hopes of getting good to play other people. It was never.
Yeah, of course.
So I get it. That's fine. It's just that's a different way of looking at it. And the city is also a 3v3 arena fighter, not a traditional fighting game, so it's a little different.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's got that weird.
It's like normal, like the city on PSP. That's a game you could probably play on your own and grind out, and just have fun.
Mm-hmm.
This new one, not so much.
Yeah, you gotta play with people. Like, I've seen
it's an arcade based fighting game.
Mm-hmm.
they ported to the console. But that new Gundam Breaker game that's coming out, or Gundam Versus game, that's about to be heat.
Just here.
I played that.
Just here's
the one that was at Youmacon last year.
Yeah, I saw.
You
it.
saw
I saw it.
that,
Yeah.
and that game was never an open spot. Never. After I played it, I knew why.
Oh Lord.
I wanted to play it, but I couldn't.
Yeah, after I got beat by an 11-year-old in Fighters, we're gonna stop. Let me figure out how to play this game. Or do I even want to play this game? Do I even want to play fighting games anymore? Especially after I lost to Sonic Fox, I was like, is this even really what I'm doing?
We all have.
I think it.
We've
I
all
feel like
had
there's some
that
people that if you just play against them in a professional, you shouldn't be sad that you lost to them. You should be sad that you even got to them in the first place and you weren't ready.
But it's like they're still players at the end of the day. Like honestly, he didn't do anything I didn't see coming. I good enough to stop it. That's
Exactly.
always my problem. It's like, oh, you're playing characters I've played, and like, okay. I even asked him. I was like, so how did you even hit me with that? He's like, oh, it's just a guess. So in my mind, I was like, okay, they're not godlike figures. They're doing stuff that I can figure out, and it wasn't as hard to beat as I thought it was. I was just getting beat.
Was he smiling when you said that to you?
I mean, kinda, but I mean, I met him once before.
Mm-hmm.
Like I met him, said next time I see, I'm gonna beat you in Fighters. That was like 2-3 years ago, and I was like,
That
damn.
was literally 3 years ago.
I was like, fuck. Well, funny how time flies. That's all right. I played him.
Yeah, I just remember you saying that too.
Yeah, because that was back when it was only Marvel Infinite, and I was like, people putting Sonic Fox on a pedestal, which he's good, but he's not unbeatable. I just cannot beat him yet, but it's okay.
I don't think the thing is that
I love how you
Sonic Fox
put
is unbeatable.
Yeah, because it's like there's nobody I can't beat. I usually I lose to myself more than I lose to the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact I can read somebody on an online match and DP when they jump at me, like that's an OD. So it's okay. It's fine.
Now for me, I just gotta put in more time just to play better. And like
Yeah, like I find myself losing to own lack of execution more than anything else, you know. So
Sometimes I'm
that's
not
just practice.
execution drops, or I have bad reads, or I overextend, or I simply like when I played a Tekken tournament recently and I just did not know the game more than the other player. And I asked him, like, oh yeah, you had good neutral and things. You just need to work on your knowledge and experience. I said, okay, translation, you're good, play more. I was like, all right, cool. I get it. So I was like, I'm not even, I was like, I was mad that I lost, but I was like, dang, I'm mad that I'm not playing that well, but I know what I have to do to play well. So I got that.
That was the same with me when I got double P'd on by D-Tom's King.
That shit was hilarious. Man,
Yeah,
I was like, not like this.
Basically, I got knocked and loses by Doom Danny, who was a Lucky Chloe player because Lucky Chloe stuff happened. Literally, I dropped a game-winning back turn combo, and apparently her small ass apparently makes my 4-up-3 with Law which is a high kick to a flip kick. Apparently, the flip kick misses her ass, so apparently she's too flat for me to hit her. So, after that, like I said, the losers made a good losers run. Got to borderline top 16. I'm one win away to getting to top 8 at the way D-Town's King, who's basically my nemesis because I never beat him in tournament. I have 3 nemesis: my friend High, my friend L Train, and my friend D-Town's King. All three of them I cannot beat. They're the only 3 I cannot beat in a offline setting. For some reason. I do not know how, it just is. I'm up 2 rounds on this man first game. And I took the next round. So I was up 1 game up on him. After that, everything just fell apart. I literally got double P'd on. I got sidestepped. I got clipped. Everything you can think of that was bad in Tekken, it just happened in the span of 4 minutes, and I was disgusted with myself.
It's just one of those games.
It was one of those games. I'm just like, everything that happened went down to hell, and I'm just like, what kind of mess am I playing today? I can't even beat this, man. Don't even want to keep playing this game. You know what? My urge of competing makes me a stupid ass competitor. I'm gonna keep playing. I don't care. I'm gonna do this. Let's do this. We just gonna keep playing until I beat this man. And when I do, you will hear me pop off, and you will hear the biggest scream in your life ever.
Maybe let's not do that. You know, I get it, but
I'm guilty for doing that sometimes. Like once you get like the crazy read and you kill them in the KO. I've done that a few times.
Yeah, I've definitely.
Listen, as long as you don't pull with Shige, you're.
Yeah.
I've never pulled with Shige. Oh, fuck that now. See, unfortunately.
Shige, what do you see me up for?
Unfortunately, I had to play Amigo in my Evo pool when I went to Evo in 2017. No, was this one? Yeah, it was 2017 because I'm Fox One Evo and DBZ. So yeah, what ended up happening with that was, first time I played him, he was a gym player, Alex. He's actually a really strong gym player. Someone you should look at.
What is his name?
Amigo.
Amigo to Cherry Berry Mango, then I'll
No, not Cherry Berry Mango. Amigo. Amigo. Yeah.
All right, I'll look it up.
Yeah, so basically, me and him had to play. The first set we played, he beat me 2-0. He almost got matched me the second game, and his friends were laughing at me. I'd be like, okay, next time I see your ass is mine. I went 5 straight 2-0s. Got to meet him again in losers, and this time it was to get out of our pool. It's for top 96. I lost to him 2-1 on the dumbest shit I've ever seen in Tekken. Ever.
How dumb was it?
It was, you know how, Dave, you have your thirsty beverage combo?
Yeah.
Yeah. This man had hold on, my name is Jin Kazama, and I could do wall combos for days. And I'm like, what is this? So, it was round 4. It was 2-1, his lead. I don't know how the hell I pulled this off, by the way. I got this lucky-ass slide that traded, and he used down 3, and in Tekken, if you use a slide, well, in Season 1 of Tekken, if you use a slide and you do down 1, you're still considered grounded. So when it traded, I was able to use a kick up to get the combo, to get the launch, and continue the combo and carry into the wall and force find around. So here's where Jin Kazama, I'm the master of walls come in. This man said, oh, okay. So we're both he's down to 80%. I'm down to like 40%. Well, not 40, like 60, 70. I'm trying to fake a slide. I do While Rising 1, which is like a flash fist. He backs up and does forward 2. And we trade, but the trade's in his favor because I'm at the wall. And I got wall splatted. This man did down forward 1-4, did an electric backwards, got the wall splat, did down 3+4, and then did a heavy sidestep to my right, and then did down forward 1-4 again, got the resplat, did 3 electrics in a row, and it kept doing it. And they did it down for a 1-4 again. I'm just watching this go all the way down, and I'm like, I'm down to 5% life. What do I do in this situation? And after he ended the combo, I didn't die by this combo, by the way. I'm full screen, 5% life to his 80, and I'm like, what do I do in this situation? So I get up. I'm trying to reset neutral. He then comes up. He then does one electric. I see it. I'm running. I stop, and then I stood there. I tried to slide. I'm not sliding yet. I fake the slide. I do Raw Rising 2 to catch him duck because I saw him twitch. So I did Raw Rising 2. He immediately parries and is down 1-4 one more, and is down forward 1-4 one more time. And I'm just like, fuck.
Bad feels bad moments.
It was definitely Phil's bad moment. I was like, that was disturbing.
That's like fucking every KOF Grand Finals, like final round, final character, Shanghai versus ET. You see that stand D is really fucking close, and you saw them running into it. You would have swore Shanghai won that, right? You was like, oh, yeah, this is the end. Fucking last possible minute shimmy, fucking armor grab, GG no re, fucking Neo Max everything, and then you just watch a realm get stolen. It's very hype, but also at the same time very upsetting. But that's what I think we all love about fighting games. Nothing is more upsetting, but also more satisfying in any game than the comeback factor that you could have in any fighting game, honestly. There's very few games where the comeback factor is basically non-fucking. And I play one of those games, KOF 03. Sometimes it's really fucking punishing for some characters when you're solo, not because the difference of me having one character versus 3, but having to go possibly 2 or more characters at that time with the limited amount of meter and knowing to back up my meter game really does hurt some characters. As I said before, I play KOF 03 and King is top tier and she has really good punishes. As a result of this, on top of the tag system in the game, I never have to worry about what character I have out because I know that I can build a meter and spend it without worry. On the other hand, though, you have characters who can't do that as well, even though with meter they're goddamn near godlike. Shinwoo is really fucking great, but no one's playing him solo and expecting to win unless they're also down to their last character. On the other hand, you got characters like Dulong where she used their HDSM. He gets a fucking shadow. He goes V as the and he says, "Yo, my niggas, I like these mix-ups. For my mix-ups." Those are characters that can do comeback factors, right? They can literally carry the game themselves. They build the meter and burn the meter equivocally with no fucking fear, right? For whatever 1 meter they get, they can burn 1 meter and not worry shit. You can play the game by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But also at the same time, because it's also a skill-based thing, it's a lot of metagame knowledge and stuff of that sort. Sometimes you just got outsmarted by someone who is one of the worst characters in the game for KOF 03, simply because they know how to deal with the matchup. So once again, going back to comeback factor, it's just like fucking Iron Man Infinite, fucking cheese strats, Dawson playing lame, some weird fucking thing that's not even Oki, but you expecting the Oki. You know, that kind of shit fucks you up, but it's the comeback factor of that kind of stuff. That really wild, off the road, tangent shit that we love about fighting games.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, want to make sure.
I guess on that note, I guess we should end it. Cause we
we might as well now because it's getting close to time. So everybody, thank you.
Well,
thank you for coming to the podcast. Okay, my mic is cutting out.
Why is your mic cutting out, my dude?
What happened?
Let's go fix that. There we go. We dropped in real quick. I got my quarterback. Anyway, thank you for coming to the podcast. We appreciate you for being here because you didn't have to, but you chose to. And we like that. I hope you learned something new. Hopefully you got to think about which fighting game got you into fighting games like the high level. You can put in the comment section below. If there even is a comment section, I don't know where this podcast goes.
Oh, it goes on my YouTube channel, so yes, there is.
Okay, so put it right in the comment section. Perfect.
Also subscribe. Okay. Please subscribe. Try and get to 200 by the end of the year. So
perfect. And if we put everybody's channels in the bottom, either description or comment, then follow us there too.
I'll also put it on the end credits of the video, like I do every episode.
Okay,
so,
even
Alex,
better.
I'll need you to list down like all, like where people could contact you and stuff like that.
All right, I will do you one better when this is over.
Sweet.
So,
on top of that, Alex, you posted a new video yesterday, right?
Yes.
And they can check that out at.
They can check that out at AlexLovehall, same as my Discord name. I'm changing that to be my name pretty much anywhere I go. That way it's consistent and it's easy for everybody to follow. So it's going to be at AlexLovehall. The way YouTube is working, it's kind of weird. My channel doesn't show up all the time because it's not as popular yet. I'm still trying to work on that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you type in webcam woes, you should find one of my videos, and then you can go to my channel from there, and then find the rest of my videos that way.
You can also look up DDGreen94 if you want to look at my channels. I have not posted much, but I will be posting more as I'm starting to stream as well. You can catch me on stream at twitch.tv/DDGreen94. Once again, that is twitch.tv/DDGreen94. My YouTube is also DDGreen94 as well. And you can follow me on Twitter, all that jazz, Instagram.
Right. I also have my Instagram is a little different. That's the Alexander Wayne, but that'll probably be changing shortly. My Twitter is AlexLovehall. My Twitch, twitch.tv/AlexLovehall. I will be trying to get back into streaming more games, as well as like I might have themes or it might tie into my YouTube videos and things like that. So just check me out on Twitter as well as YouTube, and that's mainly where I mainly be on YouTube in terms of social, but I'm trying to get back into Twitter and things like that. So if you follow me on one platform, you'll be able to see what's going on through all my platforms.
Shakur, you have any spots where people could see you at?
Nope. I do not exist on the social media outside of it.
Not yet. Y'all, he says that now. Just wait.
I mean, yeah, eventually I will have a need for social media, but it doesn't currently exist.
All right.
Okay.
Well, once again, thank you for joining me. This has been episode 4 of the Fighters Corner podcast. Hope to see you at our next episode. Good night, everybody.
Have a good night.